Okay. This is October 10th. It's about lunchtime here in Mabini, Negros, Philippines. And I wanted to share with you growing up when I was a kid in Powell, Tennessee. I grew up in the Bible Belt. And I don't know who's going to see this or who will even give a shit. Uh, but I want to share a little bit about my own personal experience when it comes to religion. So my parents went to a very independent Baptist church. The name of the church was Temple Baptist Church in Powell, Tennessee. And the pastor, the preacher at that time, was named Jerry Peace. Now this is the late 70s, early 80s. Okay, so this is a very what I call legalistic, fundamentalist type of. I want to say it was an occult. It really wasn't much of a what I would think would be a God-centered church. It was a lot of can and cannot walk, step here, step there. If you don't step here, you don't step there. You're going to burn in the lake of fire forever and ever. One of those kind of things. And you had to wear certain clothes. Like you had to be there every day that the doors were open, or you're burning in hell, or you're not a good Christian. Their take on Christianity to me, uh, kind of the roots of it to me is more in the medieval ages, and is very controlling. At least now, this is just my own personal experience. I'm not trying to bear in mind. I'm not trying to say anything derogatory about that church or the people that go there or worship there. Nothing. I'm just trying to share my own personal experience as a little kid, actually. So there was this one service at night. I think I was only like 10 or 12 years old. That I remember the preacher, Jerry Peace, getting up in the pulpit, and he started, kind of beating around the bush, and finally opened up and confessed. He started telling the truth that he had actively been sleeping with 12 different married women in the church. And like he was trying to make his little bag of secrets be known. And he asked every woman that he was sleeping with, having sex with, to stand up in the church. And they were all over the damn church. I mean, the pianist, women in the choir. I mean, girls in the audience, and everyone. I honestly don't understand why the husbands didn't go up there and just slit his throat. So later on in life, I remember getting the full story. The full story was this: one of the men that was attending Temple Baptist Church. He felt like his wife was cheating on him. He just didn't. He couldn't prove it. But you had that feeling that she's betraying me. She's out with some other guys and doing her thing. So he decided to hire a private detective, which, by the way, I was a private detective for like 4 years, and I did a lot of these type of cases myself on a personal level. But that's another time and another story. Uh, so anyway, this this private detective, uh, this this private detective went to follow this woman to a hotel across the road from what was the name of that hospital? It's on the Tennessee River. Baptist Hospital is what I want to call it. It may have changed now. The name of it was Baptist Hospital. You if you were downtown Knoxville, Tennessee, you went across the bridge to the south side, and it was right there on the bluff, right at the river. And the name of it was Baptist Hospital. I want to think that's the name of it. So anyway, uh, in the basement of the hospital there was parking, and there was actually a tunnel that you could walk through and go under the road. What, Kim? Go under the road, and there was a hotel across the street that the tunnel would go into the elevator uh, shaft and staircase, and you could go up and down the elevator. And into the hotel. So it was convenient for people who had family members that were admitted in the hospital, and they didn't want to go far away back to their house. They didn't want to make the trip, so they would just stay in the hotel close to their family. Well, Pastor Jerry Peace decided that he was going to go to the hospital to pray and visit the sick and dying at the hospital. Okay, so get that side of the story. Well, this private detective followed this man's wife to the hotel. And he was sitting there it was one of those hotels, it was 2 floors, and you could see the entrances of the rooms. Now, I think they've tore it down and there's something else there now. This is back in the early 80s. So whatever's there now, it's probably not even there anymore. In fact, I looked on Google Maps. I don't even think that's there anymore. There's something else there. But in the early 80s, there was a hotel there. It was a 2-story hotel, and you could sit in the parking lot in your car and watch people go on the second level or even the ground level to the room they were staying in and go in. So he's sitting there, and he watches the woman go there and go into a hotel room. Well, in about 30 minutes, here comes this man, this subject. Now, he don't know who this guy is. So the man goes into the room and stays for a couple hours. And then he's got another detective with him. So the guy comes back out, goes into the lobby, and one of the detectives goes with him and follows this man back through the tunnel to the parking area in the hospital, the Baptist hospital. And then they collectively get together, and they're following this man. So they're going to try to identify who this mystery man is. So they go back to Powell, Tennessee. And I forget that area. It was just maybe 4 or 5 blocks away from Temple Baptist Church, and there's a kind of a subdivision out there near Beaver Creek. And so anyway, they follow the guy to the house. They write down the address, and they finally identify who this guy is. And then this private detective has a meeting with his client, which is, this woman's husband. And of course he's taken a lot of photographs of the man going in the hotel room, coming out of the room, just typical investigation work or surveillance work is what we call it in the business. And of course, when the man sits down and is briefed on the case and what is really happening, he's shocked, because he tells the detective, this is our pastor, this is our senior pastor in the church. And the man had made up his mind, he's going to go kill this guy. He's going to go kill Pastor Jerry Peace. And the detective convinced him, talked him down. He was so angry and belligerent, and he talked him down. He said, look, let's go to the church and confront this man with what's going on. And he said, before you kill him, and give him a chance to come clean and be honest. Okay? So this man goes with the private detective to Jerry Peace's office, the senior pastor at Temple Baptist Church's office, and sits down with him. And the man takes a 8x11 brown envelope of photographs, all blowed up, and lays them out in front of the pastor. And he told the pastor, he said, I want to just tell you right now. He said, the only reason you're alive right now is this man right here, the detective. He said, if it wasn't for him, I'd already killed you. And he said, you're fucking my wife. And he says, you're either going to go in front of the church and let them know what the hell you're fucking doing, or I'm going to go in front of the church and let them know what it is that you're doing. And so that's what brought about Jerry Peace coming in front of the pulpit in the church and confessing. And it wasn't just that one man's wife that this guy was sleeping with. He was sleeping with 12 different married women. All the women were married. So I guess these women, when they went to his office for marriage counseling because they were sexually unsatisfied with their husband, Jerry Peace only saw one solution to that problem. And so, the funny thing about that story is after he did his confession and, all his secrets were laid barren and the truth come out, he signed his resignation in the church. Now, he had a wife and I think 2 or 3 kids. His wife didn't leave him. He had some preacher buddies down in Nashville, Tennessee. The old preacher buddy, the good old boy club of preachers. And he transferred to another church in Middle Tennessee and started preaching there like as if nothing had ever happened at this other church. And I actually think some of the men in Temple Baptist Church went there to that other church to inform these guys, hey, you better lock up your wife because he's going to be fucking every one of them. So that is the kind of crap with organized religion that I grew up with. Now, my cousin, let me give you another one. My cousin in Temple, Texas, she had been married. I can't even remember her name. God, it's been forever. I love her. I love her so much. She's a good girl, but she was my aunt's daughter. So yeah, my cousin, my niece, I guess. But we didn't see each other that much. But anyway, she had been married, got a divorce. She had 2 or 3 kids. She met this other guy that was a nurse at the hospital in downtown Temple, Texas. And he had been a youth pastor at a local church there. And one day he come home to find the senior pastor of his church fucking his wife in their bed. Now, he had a couple of kids at the time. And after, I guess the senior pastor fucking left, he'd already done he'd got his fun out of the way. He sat down with his wife and he said, look, I'd like to divorce you and just move on with my life. But we have these 2 kids. I'm going to stay committed to you until they turn 18. When they turn 18, adios. I'm out of your life. I'm out of here. I mean, what am I staying here for? A barroom whore that likes to bone around, fuck anything that has got a dick. So he did. Now, the children never knew what the hell had happened behind the scenes, right? This was all secret and private between the parents. Well, when the kids got 18, he divorced her. Well, the 2 girls, I think he had 2 girls, they hated him for, they thought, why did you do this to our mother? Blah, 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 blah. She don't deserve this. And my aunt, I think, finally sat them down and had a heart-to-heart talk with them. Like, hey, you don't know what your mother, you have no idea what your mother did to this guy, 10 or 12 years ago. And so, as a private detective, I dealt with a lot of cases. I did a lot of domestic cases, and it involved men and women who would come to me and hire me and use my private detective services to try to understand what was happening in their own life. They would come to me with a story, okay? And the story of their relationship might have been true 15 or 20 years ago, okay? But over the span of time, that relationship wasn't even fucking reality anymore. It was an imaginary relationship in their head. It was a fantasy. And so they would hire me to come out and find the truth of what's going on in their life. I mean, they didn't even know what was happening in their own life. And all I did, I feel like, was just help people make informed choices and informed decisions. I got the evidence, I got the photographs, I got the surveillance, I got everybody that's involved in this scenario. Here you go. You do whatever you want to with it as long as I've got paid. And I kind of got cold and callous to it. I desensitized to all the emotion. A lot of these cases were so emotionally charged, and there's a lot of pain there. So these were some of the experiences I had with Temple Baptist Church and Jerry Peace, and I just lost all respect for a man. Here is a guy with a Bible and a suit, standing in front of a people telling you what you should do to follow God and worship God and how you should pray and how you should live your life and what God wants this and God wants that, blah blah this, and all the while he's fucking 12 married women in the church. I mean, that don't add up, right? And I think a lot of churches all over the country are full of that kind of garbage and shit. You know, just human garbage with a suit and a Bible and a mouth full of lies and deception and bullshit, you know. And I never forgot it. I've never forgot it till this day, man. And really, it just destroyed everybody worshipped that guy. They thought he was they thought he was one step into heaven, one step on earth. He was he was the best thing come along. And I find a lot of religious leaders there. They don't want you to worship God. They want you to worship them. Of course, they live a life of luxury and privilege. They want you to provide them a lifestyle that they can't provide themselves. And all they got to do is blow smoke up your ass and sell false hope and lies to you. And as long as you buy it, hook, line, and sinker, they got all the money they can have. People going to be writing checks. And, oh, here, we're just going to donate our farm to you, to the church. And I don't think that's godliness. I don't think it has nothing to do with God. One thing I found, at least in the South, is there's a lot of human insanity that is hidden behind a veil of religious rhetoric and jargon. There's a lot of evil, sadistic people that go to a freaking church every damn day the door's open, right? But they would just soon stand there and watch and video you on fire, burning to death, than to raise a pinky finger to help you. It's like two-faced hypocrites, full of shit, liars, self-deception, self-righteousness. I'm so goody, I'm so great, I'm so good. And then it's all lies, and you couldn't get the truth out of them if you beat them to death. So, anyway, that's enough of about that. But and I know that there's probably a lot of other people. I don't know if you'll ever get to see this video. I don't know if anybody will ever see. It might be 2 people that'll ever see it on YouTube. But now Temple Baptist Church now, they got a new pastor back in the 80s, and they went through 2 or 3 pastors in the 80s, I think, and then another one. I can't remember the guy they got there now, and I have no idea what it's like there now. All I know is what it was when I was there growing up as a kid, and what I experienced as just a little boy. It's like, well, I guess God wants me to just fuck as many women as I can, right? I mean, that's what the preacher does. So, lead by example. Well, that's your example, man. So anyway, I love to hear your comments on if you've got a similar church experience. I'd love to hear about it. In fact, I'd love to even have a show where we got other people from the Bible Belt. It don't have to be the Bible Belt. It could be from anywhere on the planet. I really don't care. I don't care where you come from as long as you can speak English. Reach out to me and let's have a discussion. The atrocities that's going on in the church that you grew up in, or whether you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter. And what you experienced, and these things are what really hurt people, spiritually hurt you. These are spiritual assaults, because you go there for a mentor. You go there to get spiritual guidance and leadership, and you're just devastated. Stuff like this devastates you, It devastates your whole mindset of God and who God is and what spirituality is all about. What does it mean to be godly? There ain't no such thing. And now I still like reading the Bible, don't get me wrong, and I'm not against all organized religion. I think there's a lot of great groups out there. One One of the dudes that I honestly would just love to go with this guy is the Machine Gun Preacher that has got a heart of gold for these people, these children in Africa, you know, and his devotion to trying to make a difference in this world. And most of my life I felt like, well, first off, most of my life I've never felt like I've ever done anything right. There's only been a very few moments where I feel like I'm doing the right thing for once in my life. I'm doing the morally right thing in my life. Most of the time I've never felt that way, predominantly. And one of the few times I felt like I had actually, honestly, God is my witness, made a difference in another human being's life was a medevac flight I did from Mindanao, Philippines up to Cebu for a man who had been in a motorcycle accident, was on the brink of death. And I flew him up there in a helicopter. He was able to get the trauma care that he needed, and he survived and made a full recovery. And his daughter even thanked me for it. And that was a moment I felt like, honestly, right? I wasn't lying to myself. I had honestly made a big difference in one human being's life in my life, and that was God honest, priceless to me. So anyway, that's enough for this episode. And if you liked it, if you got some ideas for me, please put them in the comments. I'd like to hear suggestions of things. All I'm trying to do is share my own path and my own life journey and my own experiences. And a lot of these things that I've gone through that don't make much sense. It's like, what the hell was that all about? You like, why did that happen to me? Or what was the reason for that? Right? The mysterious aspect of life, right? That it just don't make no sense, but it still happened, and you still experienced it. You were there, and it's a part of your story, and it is what it is. So anyway, I'll let you go, and look forward to hearing from you again. We're going to make some more. I'm going to make some more videos like this. I'm going to try to make some other videos about my travels and different things, so it can put you to sleep at night. If you got insomnia.